Yes, we were not at our best against Bournemouth, but I just found it interesting, the double standards in terms of refereeing again. I think I've made about 25 videos on Arsenal being, screwed over by referees. I don't enjoy making them because I shouldn't have to make them. But in this situation, it's not more so about Arsenal getting robbed, because I do feel like, potentially it's the right decision to send off Saliba because he was last man. Maybe even Nilsson would get there. You can't really gauge it on Ben White's pace. I get that, but just 24 hours later, we're seeing the same situation, Chelsea versus Liverpool, and the Chelsea player not being sent off. I mean, I think it's quite ridiculous, to be honest. We need fair referees. We're not asking for Arsenal to be awarded decisions every single time. We're just asking for clear refereeing, which isn't biased, and you can tell it's fair. And we're not getting it. We're not getting it at all. I point here to the Chelsea-Liverpool game. This is Tosin Adarabioyo, Jota. Here is the ball. And if you're looking at the flight of the ball, it's going to land here. And you can't tell me that Levi Colwill is going to get back and defend this ball. You cannot tell me that. And I feel like this is the sort of thing, especially with the Premier League this season, they seem to have this big thing when it comes to making decisions whereby it's so tipsy-topsy. It's not the same. It's not consistent. It's not fair. And if you look at Saliba here, Ben White's not going to get there. Again, look, I think that's Thomas Partey in there. Is that gap between Partey and Saliba that different to the gap between Colwill and Tosin? I don't know. I don't think there is that big of a gap. There's a big of a difference. And that's what I mean. Is it fair? If you're going to keep a threshold, are you going to be consistent with it? And if you're not, then there's got to be serious questions asked of you as a referee, as the FA, the PGMO, all of these people. They need to be asked about this, because I listened to people's opinion on the red card. Of course, majority of Arsenal fans as well said it was a red card. I agree, to be honest. But what other people were saying is, we've seen this situation before. And I think what I also found interesting, which I'm now going to show, is these two things. Look at Howard Webb. This was exactly after Saliba made that challenge. I don't want to be this sort of person who's nitpicky, but there was about 15 games. There's always a lot of games in a Premier League weekend, match weekend. Howard Webb chooses Arsenal versus Bournemouth out of all those games. And I know it's petty, but these sort of petty things, sometimes you've got to question it. And of course, Carragher came out with a tweet. Did Howard Webb intervene? But it's just ironic how quickly after the Saliba decision, they hadn't even made the decision to send off Saliba yet, that Howard Webb had his hand to his ear, was on his phone texting. We as fans, we're going to think the worst. We're going to think there's some sort of bias. And another thing, Jared Gillett, who was on VAR, and Jared Gillett has been involved in a lot of Arsenal games this season and made horrendous decisions. He supports Liverpool. And who do Arsenal play next? Liverpool, in arguably again, one of the biggest games of our season. I mean, the script is there. I don't want to be that guy, like I've said. But this sort of thing, it can't happen. You can't have so many situations we can nitpick from. You can't allow us as fans to see these situations, Howard Webb putting his hand to his ear, to see that Jared Gillett supports Liverpool and was a guy that recommended a VAR review. These things is going to make us think the game isn't fair. And ultimately, we want fairness, we want consistency, and we're not getting it. And I know the last thing, it's going to seem petty. Here, Arsenal versus Aston Villa lockdown. Look, again, you cannot tell me this isn't similar. A yellow card was given to Konza. Look at the distance there, the exact same as Saliba and, even Nilsson. It's the exact same. And the referee, again, it's consistent with Arsenal. It just seems as though Arsenal are the only club that have a problem with referees. No other club has this sort of situation where the referee isn't screwing them over. I actually don't think this season many teams have felt like the referee has screwed them over. Maybe Wolves. Again, today we saw Wolves versus Manchester City. Unfair. It's unfair. And even Gary O'Neill came out with a quote saying, City seem to have this sort of help when it comes to decisions. And when managers are noticing it, fans are noticing it, you've got to make something change. You've got to make a change happen. And of course, I know, again, petty, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe even lockdown. Why are you bringing this in? But it's consistency. We're not asking for, Saliba not to be sent off. We're just asking for consistency. You set a bar, you need to follow the bar. You will need to make sure it's fair. You need to make sure everyone feels it's fair as well. And it all comes down to the referees and who's being given the games to referee. I point to the game against Southampton. The referee was unknown, And he was absolutely fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic. Zero bad decisions made for him. They need to start checking who supports who better thoroughly. They need to start checking decisions and setting a bar which is consistent. Otherwise, we're going to have to keep on making these videos where it feels as though we've been done unfairly. But anyway, guys, that's it for now. Let me know your thoughts. Please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, peace.